Hey people, welcome back to the channel. This is a story in which Madara is Naruto's grandfather. He implanted his and Hashirama's cells into Naruto and trained him, which made him extremely strong. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the video, leave a comment if you want to suggest fanfic. Check the description for credits and support the creator of the story. So let us begin. Chapter 15. Iwagakure, the Sandaime Tsuchikage, sat behind his desk dealing with some village matters. There were important matters he had to deal with before he retired for the night. It was already night, but he had to finish the work. If he did, he would just find the work waiting for him. His train of thoughts when a messenger burst into the office. Tsuchikage-sama, the messenger yelled, holding a report on his hand. He looked out of breath like he had been running for hours without rest. What is it? Onoki asked impatiently. I have received a report from the patrol guards at the Earth Country borders. Uchiha Naruto was seen entering the country a week ago. He left the same day. This got Onoki's complete attention. Give me that report, he said. The messenger gave him the report hurriedly. He read through and asked himself a single question. What was he doing here? Why was I not informed of this when it happened? Onoki asked with a stern look on his old face. I don't know, Tsuchikage-sama. I only received the report today. Anbu. Four masked men appeared before the Tsuchikage. Onoki handed the leader the report. Read this report and go to the general location that man was seen. Find out what he was doing. Hi, Tsuchikage-sama. Konoha, peace and calmness were in abundance within the wooden walls of the village hidden in leaves. Despite so much trouble and chaos that at times has fallen within the village, it has still somehow managed to remain standing with both its legs. It might lose its head sometimes, but they always find a new one to steer the village into the right path. They do say that a storm comes before calm. However, people do often wish that the normal order of things would change. If so, then the calm would not lead to a storm, but another long time of pure happiness without suffering, loses and pain that life always dishes out in wide plates. Perhaps if people wished for things differently, then things would work different. But often wishes and such thoughts turn out to be pointless. Because of this peace, the guards at the gate were relaxing. In peaceful times one always thinks of peaceful thoughts. Thoughts of intruders are low. Have you come into the village before? Naruto asked as the large gates of Konoha came into view. He was asking the red-haired woman who was walking beside him. No, she gave a short reply. All I ever did with Orochimaru was move around his bases, conducting some experiments and other things, she said quietly. So Orochimaru recruited you for your special chakra and the fact that you are a scientist of some sort. It was not a question but a statement. When my mother came here, some teased her because of her red hair. But I doubt that will be the same with you. You might also find a number of Anbu following you. Other than that, there is nothing for you to worry about. Karen looked at Naruto. Was he trying to make her comfortable because he knew she was uncomfortable with coming to the village? Was he just saying it to ease her worries? Naruto spoke again while the girl was still in her thoughts. Are you familiar with medical ninjutsu? Yes, but I'm not that good at it. I just let someone bite me to heal, Karen responded. Most of her body was covered with bite marks. Her special chakra was able to heal almost any wound. All one needed to do was to bite her. You have already told me that, Naruto said. Since you are going to be living here, I thought it would be good for you if you found something to do. You will no longer be doing experiments and researches. That being said, you might this place boring. So what do you suggest I do? Whether she was being sarcastic or not, Naruto could not really tell. Not that he cared for it anyway. For now, nothing. Don't reveal your abilities to anyone other than the one person I tell you to trust. You will live like a normal girl until I find you something to do, Naruto said, going over things they did not when he had gone to pick her up at the other hideout. Karen nodded, knowing that it was all she could do, for now that it's. When they reached the gates, Naruto did not stop to speak with the guards. He just passed through with Karen following behind him. Hey, stop it right there. One of the gate guards yelled as he saw the man with a red armor and a war fan strapped behind him and long blonde hair. The man was passing through the gates with red-haired woman. Naruto stopped and turned to the guard, making the man uncomfortable under his impassive gaze. A flash of recognition flashed through the guard's face as he looked at Naruto's face. Oh, it is you, he said nervously before turning to Karen. Who is she? She is with me, Naruto replied, keeping his gaze of the guard. Can I see her pass? She does not have any. Is there going to be a problem? Naruto stated with a tone that had the guard shift uncomfortably. And no, nothing. Let's go, Karen, Naruto said, turning away from the guard, making him release a sigh of relief. Karen just followed Naruto from behind without a word leaving her mouth. As they began to walk away from the guards making it into the streets, they attracted some attention from the villagers. Naruto sighed seeing the commotion his presence was making. There are about 3 squads, which I believe are Anbu, that are watching us, Karen said to Naruto. The girl was a top sensor. He had not sensed them all. So far, he had only sensed a single squad. Naruto touched Karen on her shoulder and they disappeared in a swirl of flames. Naruto's house. They appeared inside of Naruto's house within the Shinobi district. Karen found herself admiring the place despite the obviousness that no one had been living in here for some time. This is my house, Naruto said. It will be yours from now on. I would have you live with me at the Uchiha compound, but I get the feeling that you are not comfortable around me. So until you get used to my presence, this will be your house. Thanks, Karen found herself saying those words. They just escaped. Naruto said nothing about that. You are free to do anything you want. Just keep a low profile. He said. But for now stay here until I return. Where are you going? I have to see Sasuke, and I believe that not long Tsunade will be sending her Anbu after me, Naruto stated, leaving the Uzumaki girl alone at the apartment. Uchiha compound. Naruto arrived at the Uchiha compound quickly and walked within the empty streets that used to be full of children running about their happiness. There seemed to be no one. Well, that was to be expected given that only Sasuke was currently living within the home of the Uchihas. He went to the house he knew to be the former head clan's house, which was now Sasuke's. The house was cleaned. Sasuke was taking good care of it. He went upstairs to search for a room he would use. Finding it, Naruto unstrapped his gunbai and left the house off to the training ground within the compound. He sensed the other Uchiha there along with someone. Sasuke was busy sparring with his sensei, Kakashi. Both had their Sharingans activated as they battled. Sasuke was fast. His speed was admirable. Kakashi was also fast, but nowhere near as fast as his student was. However, Kakashi had experience with him. The man has been fighting since the Third Shinobi World War. It was understandable that he would have more experience in battle than Sasuke. Naruto was impressed with both their improvements. Even so, with Kakashi's use of the Sharingan. Despite not being an Uchiha, he was using the Dujutsu like an Uchiha. There was also the fact that he had the Mangekyo. Still, he was not able to use all of the Mangekyou's abilities because of his lack of Uchiha blood. As far as Naruto knew, Kakashi was only able to use Kamui, which was special to Obito's eyes. The two finally noticed Naruto and stopped their sparring session. They walked towards Naruto looking heavily tired. It seemed that they had been sparring for quite some time now. It was a surprise to Naruto seeing Kakashi fight with someone when he was not doing a mission. Perhaps he should have had Zetsu spy on their training trip to see how well they were training. As far as his eyes could see, Sasuke was not the only one who changed. Kakashi was the first to speak. Naruto, it's good to see that you have returned in one piece, the copy ninja said, giving Naruto one of his iconic eye smiles. Naruto said nothing at the man's words. Kakashi spoke. When did you return? A few minutes ago, Naruto responded. Even you changed. Well, I suppose if Sasuke was able to change, then everything is possible, he commented on both the Sharingan user's change. Sasuke felt insulted by what Naruto had said. What is that supposed to mean? He looked like his old self when he asked the question. Oh. You still possess that old spark, it seems, Naruto said, his lips forming a small smile. Old habits never die, Kakashi said. Naruto, he said, his expression changing. Can I talk to you? Say maybe tomorrow. Naruto looked at Kakashi with a raised brow, but said nothing. He only shrugged. I will see you tomorrow, Sasuke, Kakashi said and disappeared in a puff of smoke. Naruto turned around to the house with Sasuke following him. When they arrived, Naruto went outside to the garden while Sasuke went to take a shower. He had been training, it was only natural that he take a shower first before getting down to business with Naruto. I did not think that you would be returning soon, Sasuke said, walking towards the garden where Naruto was sitting comfortably in silence. I did what I had to do faster than first thought, Naruto replied. At first he had not planned to come back to Konoha quickly as he had now. He was in no hurry to return to the village. But things do change, and he was forced to hurry up his schedule. Where did you go to after leaving the Mist Village anyway? Sasuke asked, genially curious as he sat down beside Naruto. Earth Country, Naruto replied calmly. Sasuke from now on would be his partner. He would know some of the things that he will be doing. There was no need for him to keep his fellow Uchiha in the dark about some things. You would go to that country knowing that Iwagakure hates Konoha. I doubt if they see a Konoha shinobi in their country they would let him go without trying to take him down. Naruto shrugged. My target was at the country. And besides I would have taken care of any nuisance that would have attempted to fight me, he said. Who was your target? Since Naruto seemed to be talking to him freely and even bothering to answer his questions, he decided to just go with the flow. Orochimaru. Did you get him this time? He knew that it was not the first time that Naruto had gone after Orochimaru. The first time it was obvious that Orochimaru had gotten away as Naruto ended up destroying several of Orochimaru's hideouts. Yes, that meant that the snake Sannin was dead. I doubt that you were after him simply because he was a Konoha traitor. Sasuke paused for a moment trying to see if Naruto was getting annoyed with his questions. What did he do to you? Nothing, Naruto replied. He just had something that belonged to me. Now Sasuke was not going to ask what it was that Orochimaru had which belonged to Naruto. If Naruto had chosen to say something, then it was not for him to know. Are you satisfied? Naruto asked Sasuke, who nodded. Good, then we can get onto business. Sasuke sighed. Not that I am not happy to discuss the Uchiha clan with you, but don't you think that you should go and rest? You just came back today and you look a little pale. Some might not be able to notice it as one could never tell unless they had seen Naruto up close during his genin days and before he returned to Konoha. I'm fine, Naruto said. It's important that we discuss these things before the next council meeting. One of us will have to take the Uchiha clan head seat at the meeting. Sasuke nodded. Is it safe to talk out here? Someone might be listening. It's safe. No one is within the compound. I lost the Anbu that had been following me when I went to my house. But it's only a matter of time before they find me again. Sasuke nodded again. I made the requests about every property that belonged to our clan. The council had been refusing at first, but the Hokage and I convinced them, he said with a smile. Naruto nodded with a small smile. He had not thought that Tsunade would against the council in the matter. Well, that is good. So our library is operating. Yes. I had some genins put everything to place. All that is left is to put a barrier so that not everyone can get in. That sounds good. I would hate it if someone were to sneak into our library. How long did it take for them to give you the scrolls? Naruto asked as a thought entered his mind. About a week, Sasuke replied, looking at Naruto trying to see if there was something wrong. Before I left I knew where the scrolls were located. They were not in the village's library. The elders never thought that they would be forced to return them. I know Danzo made copies of particular scrolls. The elders did not as they had the originals in their possession. So I am guessing that with the time it took them to give you the scrolls, they were making copies. What is in those scrolls that they had to keep them for their own use? Did you ever use the library before the massacre? Sasuke shook his head no. There are some secrets that were put into the library by the previous head clan before your father. Secrets about our dujutsu, how it's matured and some abilities of the Mangekyo, clan history and other things. I thought everything about the Mangekyo was at the Naka shrine. Yes, everything is in the shrine. But a few details were put in the library. The scrolls don't tell how the Mangekyo is activated though. There are just some abilities, some forbidden that were recorded. These abilities of the Mangekyo were used before Konoha was even founded. I did not. Sasuke trailed off when Naruto raised up his hand. A second later, an Anbu dropped next to the two Uchihas. Uchiha Naruto, Hokage-sama is requesting your presence now. Naruto looked at Sasuke. I will come and pick you up after the meeting, he said, not acknowledging the Anbu. Uchi, Naruto cut of the Anbu with an even tone. I heard you, he said and disappeared. The Anbu did the same. Hokage office. As soon as Naruto appeared inside Tsunade's office, he found himself staring at the eyes of Jiraiya and the blonde Hokage. They seemed to have been waiting for him patiently for quite some time. Perhaps Tsunade had thought that as soon as he entered the village he would be knocking at her door reporting that he had returned home. Foolish expectations, he would never have done that. Perhaps after he had discussed everything with Sasuke he would have. Nevertheless, he had been expecting her to call him as soon as she got tired of waiting. Naruto knew that Tsunade was a very impatient woman. However, not all senjus were impatient as far as history said. Perhaps it came from the fact that her grandfather spoiled her too much while she grew up. She wasn't as used to always get what she wanted. It had to have been wonderful living being the first grandchild of the Shodai Hokage. Well, that was why they called her princess anyway. Both former teammates were no doubt going to be asking him many questions. Depending on the kind of questions they asked, he would give answers. In addition, today he had decided to be gracious and answer some questions. Well, the questions he felt were necessary to be answered. Things he liked to keep to himself, he would keep. How nice of you to finally come here, the remark sounded sarcastic. Naruto either ignored it or just did not catch it because his face stayed impassive, as always. An Anbu came by and said, "You requested my presence," Naruto said after some silence. "What is it, Hokage-sama?" Nop. He was never going to say it again, it did not feel right at all. It felt wrong. Tsunade seemed to smirk in victory as Naruto called her properly. It was for the first time he had actually done that. She enjoyed the look on his face when Hokage-sama came out of his mouth. Jiraiya had other ideas though. Why does she have to called with respect only? While Jiraiya the Toad Sage is called often with disrespect, now he was just whining like a child who was robbed of her lollipop. Naruto did not comment. Such words from a man like Jiraiya did not need his comment. Not even a thought. His eyes only looked at Tsunade. Apparently, Tsunade did not have the same thoughts as Naruto. "That is because you act like a child, you damn pervert," she said, her voice up to make her point clear. Jiraiya seemed hurt by her words. "Well, anyway, legs, get back to business," Tsunade said, taking her eyes off Jiraiya to Naruto, who was standing calmly in front of her desk. "To answer your question, Naruto, I did send an Anbu after you. As to why, the reason should be obvious," Tsunade said, speaking like a commander. Her tone seemed to get Jiraiya off his childish antics as he adopted a serious expression on his face. Apparently, that was the only word that left Naruto's mouth. "First, I would like to say that, no, tell you that you should not do what you did when you left the village. Nobody leaves the village without my command. I am the leader of this village and you will not do, see you please, is that clear?" Tsunade spoke in a tone full of power and authority, which were complemented by her fierce and sharp look. Anybody under her gaze would have nodded and kneeled before making assurances that it would not happen again. But not Naruto, he was unlike anybody. Yes, he was going to be gracious, but that did not mean she could boss him around. She was weaker than him. Old for that matter. He could see her wrinkled skin that showed her true age. Perhaps he would follow some of her orders but not every one of it. He was not going to say he would follow her every word or not. Therefore, he chose not to say anything. Tsunade took the silence as a yes. Her message was clear enough. "I would have been asking for the results of your training. However, from the reports in Kurigakure, I no longer need that," she said. "I have a question though. Where were you before you decided to run after Orochimaru?" "At a safe place," Naruto replied shortly. "It appears that way," Jiraiya intervened. "But that was not the question. I searched everywhere for you. But did not find you." "That is not true." "Huh. You said you searched everywhere." "That is not true. If you did not find me then you clearly did not search everywhere, as I was somewhere." Now Naruto's eyes were at the perverted Sannin as he replied to the question. "Don't try to play smart with me, Naruto. Answer the question." Naruto did not answer. His eyes went back to Tsunade. He caught her with an amused expression on her face. She seemed to enjoy seeing Jiraiya being schooled. Tsunade cleared her throat and banished the amusement in her face. "As Naruto has put it, you did not search everywhere, Jiraiya. Hey, who are you with on this?" Jiraiya asked Tsunade, sounding hurt again that she would pick Naruto's side over his. "Regardless, that does not answer the question. The question remains, where were you, Naruto? Is this question pressed because I can simply disappear from the face of the world without anyone knowing my whereabouts? Is it because Jiraiya, as renowned spy master who has connections almost everywhere, failed to find me? Naruto questioned the two Sanins in front of him. Perhaps, Tsunade said before Jiraiya could say anything. Now are you going to answer the question? She asked with narrowed eyes. No, it was short and clear. Why? Jiraiya this time beat Tsunade to speak. Do you have something to hide? A small smile flicked through Naruto's face before it quickly disappeared like it was never there. Always suspicious, Jiraiya, there was a difference in the tone he used. Neither Jiraiya nor Tsunade could quite define it. You have given me enough reasons to be, Jiraiya defended himself. That I have, Naruto admitted. Jiraiya, do you remember the time you asked me how I was an Uchiha? As per your belief, neither of my parents were Uchihas. Yes, do you still remember the answer I gave you? Jiraiya frowned but replied nonetheless, you told me to search for answers myself. Until I had found something I could come back to you and you give me the answers. Tsunade now found herself questioning that. She was also curious as to how Naruto was an Uchiha. However, that did not banish the question, why would Naruto have Jiraiya dig for information? Unless. She smiled at the thought and looked at Jiraiya. Jiraiya, you fool, he told you to search for something because he knew you would not find anything. Tsunade thought. What does that have to do with anything? Both of you are suspicious of me. You don't trust me. I have not given you any reason to. If you think I am plotting something against the village, use your spy network to verify that. Perhaps this time you might find something. If you do find something, come and confront me about it. He did not care if they trusted him or now. But his saying would make things better for him. And besides, things would be interesting if they were stayed the way they were. He would get bored if he did not stir things to become interesting. Jiraiya frowned. Naruto was obviously telling him that because he knew all his searches would lead to nothing. There were people who covered their tracks perfectly. Like Danzo. He could not find a shred of evidence that would put the old war hawk behind bars even when he knew that the old man was into things that would have him executed. With Naruto he was only suspicious, but he did not know for sure. His gut told me that Naruto was not plotting something against the village, but Naruto's secretive ways did not help. Tsunade sighed. Well, it appears that Naruto was not going to answer the question. And they could not force him to answer. She was glad that Jiraiya had realized that Naruto was telling him to search because he knew or was positive that he would not find anything. That is if the frown on his face did not suggest anything. Well, since you are obviously not going to answer that question, let's move on to your actions of the past months. Naruto waited for the question. Why were you after Orochimaru? He had a girl that should not be with him, Naruto responded. Well, that was not entirely true. He was after Orochimaru for the Shinigami mask, and Karen. However, he could have gotten Karen without going after Orochimaru. He just had to find the hideout she was being kept. What girl? Jiraiya asked. His face had mixed emotions. Naruto never bothered to study them. Uzumaki girl. You must know already that I came back with a young woman. Tsunade nodded. A report from the gate guards had told her so. What's special about her? Is it not that obvious? Jiraiya spoke the obviousness Naruto was speaking of. She is an Uzumaki. She is a member of his mother's clan. Perhaps a full-blooded Uzumaki unlike him. Tsunade nodded now in understanding. But the question is, why could Orochimaru keep her? She was a scientist like him. Naruto decided to answer that question to get them off Karen's back. He knew that they would send some people to shadow her movements inside the village if they did not get anything. That much was enough. None of her abilities needed to be revealed. So she conducted experiments with Orochimaru, Tsunade concluded. Naruto said nothing. There was nothing to be said. Where is Orochimaru anyway? I took care of him, Naruto replied. You killed him. Naruto nodded. Do you have his head to prove that? No, Naruto said. I burned every part of his body. He said it like it was nothing serious. Tsunade did not want to ask anything further on that. Moving on to your actions in Kiri, which you have become famously known for. Again, Naruto waited for a question or anything. I have to say that what you did was reckless and could have gotten you killed, Tsunade said sternly but then smiled. Regardless, it seems that your actions might have brought Konoha an ally. I got a message from the Godai Mizukage a few days ago. She will be coming here in a few days to talk about an alliance. Naruto said nothing. He had expected that much. However, he had thought she would wait until Kiri recovered. That is if unless she wishes for help. Another thing we need to talk about is the Akatsuki, Jiraiya said. How much do you know about them? All that I need to know about them, Naruto responded coolly. Naruto, this is serious. Akatsuki pose a serious danger not just to Jinchurikis but the whole elemental nations. Naruto sighed, crossing his hands on his chest. That was according to Jiraiya. He would deal with Nagato and Obito in due time. What would you do if I gave you info about them? I would share it with other villages so that they can be prepared, Jiraiya said with conviction. So many people like doing noble things but lack the power and the resources to do so. Such a pity, Naruto said to himself. Don't care about their Jinchuriki. And I doubt they would even listen to you. Taki also don't care. Kumo will probably laugh at you since the Raikage believes he can withstand anything. Arrogant fool, he thought aloud. Both Tsunade and Jiraiya heard him but neither were willing to comment. Suna will accept you and Kiri have lost both its Jinchurikis. Tsunade and Jiraiya were impressed. So you know where all Jinchurikis are located, Jiraiya said. Naruto said nothing. Jiraiya had not asked anything. What he had said was a statement of fact. Regardless of that, I will give you profiles of all Akatsuki members, minus the leaders of course. You know all of them. I have been searching for years and have not found out all of their members. Jiraiya said, clearly surprised that Naruto had information that he had. Jiraiya, by now you must have probably gotten a wind of where the leader of Akatsuki is located. Yes, I was planning to check on that lead in a week. Jiraiya said proudly. Proud that he had found where the leader of Akatsuki was located. Don't go there. He will kill you, Naruto stated. What? If you enter a Megakure, the leader of Akatsuki will kill you. How do you know that? He defeated Hanzo. The man who you Sanin could not defeat in your prime, the man who gave you the title. And he did it so rather easily. Both Sanins were shocked. Just how strong could the man be if he could defeat Hanzo the Salamander easily? Another question, how does Naruto know all this? If he is that strong then I have more reasons to go there. If you wish to die then go. It's your funeral. Last time I heard anything about AIM was that the village was locked in a civil war. Lately no spy goes in and comes out of the village. How do you know all that, Naruto? Tsunade asked, saving Jiraiya from Naruto. Naruto chose to ignore the question. Now that is all done with. I have a request. That caught both Sanin's attention, which is. I need to have the same rights as Jiraiya. What? Naruto looked at the blonde Hokage blankly. Why? I need to be able to come in and out the village without much trouble. I also need to get into other villages without too much questions. Why? That annoyed Naruto. It became clear in his face. Same reasons as Jiraiya. Jiraiya is a Sanin. He also brings valuable intel to the village. I am stronger than Jiraiya and I was just giving you intel that he could not get hold of. Tsunade blinked. She was certainly not expecting him to say that. Is it perhaps a question of loyalty? Or are you afraid of what the elders might say? Tsunade scoffed at Naruto's last words. I will discuss it with Jiraiya first, she said, eyeing her former teammate who nodded. I believe that is all, Naruto said before looking at Jiraiya. Jiraiya, before you get any ideas. I was not telling you to stay away from AIM cause I would be saddened by your death. Your death would not just look good to Konoha's power. Minato, the Sandaime have all died. If you also died, Konoha would be seen as in a weakened state. Although it would be amusing to see some villages try to take advantage of that situation, I would rather it did not happen. Personally, I don't care if you die or live. With that he disappeared the same way as he appeared, in a swirl of flames. Jiraiya was saddened by Naruto's words. However, it quickly disappeared as he spoke. Damn, I have to ask him to teach me that. Naruto's house. After the meeting at the Hokage's office, Naruto had gone back to the Uchiha compound. He found Sasuke reading something. He did not bother to ask as it was not his concern and quite frankly he did not care. Still, he was surprised to find Sasuke reading something. He had not thought that Sasuke would actually be into literature. Perhaps it came with the change. He did not say much to the Uchiha. He took him to his place. To avoid much causing a commotion they used Naruto's own unique Shunshine to teleport to his house, which was now Karen's. The said girl was seated with a bored look at the sitting room. She seemed bored, not that she could be blamed. This place is much safer to talk than the compound. Nevertheless, I will set up the protection as soon as I get time, Naruto said to Sasuke as they walked towards Karen. Sasuke nodded. I have heard Kakashi say that it was impossible even for ANBUs to break inside this place, he said. Kakashi had informed him of the time Konoha had been wary of Naruto and had been watching him over time. They tried to get into his house but only to find that they could not because the house was heavily protected with barrier seals. I had set up barriers to avoid people coming in here to do what they pleased. Jiraiya broke in once though. But I updated the security. In addition, that time my skills with barriers was not of the highest level, Naruto explained to the other Uchiha. Karen had been acting like she was not seeing them. Sasuke, this is Uzumaki Karen, Naruto introduced the girl to Sasuke. Uchiha Sasuke, he introduced himself to the red-haired girl who flustered a bit seeing his face. Sasuke sat down along with Naruto. Karen, this one you can trust, Naruto said. Sasuke could be trusted. He had no doubt that Sasuke would spill anything he tells him to anyone. If there was anything, Sasuke knew what not to say and what not to be said. If Sasuke was given a choice like Itachi's, he could have chosen his clan other than Konoha. So, Naruto knew that he would not tell anyone anything that they talked about. Not that Naruto was going to tell Sasuke everything. Karen nodded with a small smile. Naruto focused on Sasuke. Before the Anbu came I was telling you about some of the Uchiha clan secrets within the scrolls that the elders had taken. But the secrets in those scrolls are nothing that could cause serious dangers. As you know, most valuable information is at the Naka shrine. Sasuke nodded. Still, you did say that there were some forbidden techniques in those scrolls. We cannot have none Uchihas have that kind of information. I agree, Naruto said. Which is why in the next council meeting I will tell the elders to burn every scroll they have since they are basically in possession of Uchiha property unlawfully. You are the one to talk about being unlawful. You do what you please, Sasuke said with a smile making Naruto seem like a hypocrite. Karen nodded. From what that friend of yours told me about you, you don't do anything lawfully unless it is your own laws, she added. You are making me seem like a hypocrite, Naruto said with an amused expression. It amused him seeing how Sasuke and Karen were quick to point out that. But they were wrong about something. While it may be true that I do what I please, or operate by my own laws, I do not go around taking things that do not belong to me. The elders on the other hand have taken things that do not belong to them. And I always take back what belongs to me, lawfully or unlawfully. Sasuke nodded. Well, they had to take back what they belonged to their clan. They could not have clan secrets becoming public knowledge, regardless of how minor they might be. About restoring the clan. Naruto looked at Sasuke with a raised brow. Are you ready to start doing that? Have you already found suitable females for that? Well, no, Sasuke replied nervously. Hey, you are making it sound like you just want women to use them so you can recreate your clan, Karen interjected standing in for her kind. You can't do something like that. Sasuke, if you want to restore your clan you have to do it with someone you love. From what I have heard from his friend, she said pointing at Naruto. I don't think he can understand that. I don't think he even understands love between a man and a woman. Naruto simply raised a brow at the girl's words, but refrained from commenting. Sasuke, have you ever been in love? No, Sasuke replied shortly. Huh. He has never been interested in females before. All he cared about was his ambition. Naruto spoke for Sasuke. You are the one to speak. I have never seen you interested in a girl before. All the girls that showed an interest in you during out time at Team 7 you simply looked at them with disinterest and called them annoyances. Sasuke shot back defending himself. Karen found herself laughing. How long have you two been like this? Huh. That was Sasuke. How long have you two been like friends? Karen asked again. To tell you the truth, I never liked him a few years ago. In fact, I hated him. He also told me he hated me. But that all changed when I found out he was part of my clan. But when I came here to talk to him he shot me down. Sasuke paused for a moment. Well, we have never really gotten along. You can say that we only became civil a few weeks ago. But that was also small talk inside a genjutsu. Really? Disbelief was clear in Karen's voice. Again, Naruto said nothing. His expression had now returned to what it always was. Yes, Sasuke emphasized with a nod. But you act like you have been friends for quite some time now. Naruto had never noticed that little fact. Nevertheless, he shoved it at the back of his head. It was not important. As you were saying, Sasuke, restoring the clan, that can be discussed after we have dealt with a few issues. Karen sighed. Naruto was no fun. At least his white friend was fun when he was not annoying her. There are just the two of us, but it matters not. We are the last members of the Uchiha clan. Someone has to take the clan head seat at the next council meeting, Naruto said. Sasuke nodded. My father was the previous head clan, so the title should be inherited by me. But after dealing with those council once, I don't think I can deal with them again. You are more suited to deal with them, he suggested. Naruto nodded. It did not matter to him who took the seat. He knew that despite Sasuke having changed, he was not the one to be controlled by someone. He would just make sure that the other Uchiha was not made an easy target for manipulation. Fine, he said. What are you going to be doing? That is what I wanted to talk to you about, Sasuke said a bit serious. Not that their previous talk was not serious. As you know, the Uchiha founded the Konoha Military Police Force, which operated as a judicial organization within the village. After the massacre, the organization became dead as it consisted mostly of Uchiha. I wanted to have the organization rebuild it and head it. Naruto was thoughtful for a moment before speaking. The Uchiha did not, but rather Senju Tobirama found it. He was the one who created it and handed it to the Uchiha clan, Naruto corrected Sasuke. Regardless, this would be a good opportunity for you to know everything that happens to Konoha. Yes, the council just has to approve it, Sasuke stated. We will convince them to approve it, Naruto said. But you do know that you cannot run the military force without members. Yes, I was thinking of asking the Hokage to give me few shinobis for the military force, after we have convinced the council to approve it. I doubt that Tsunade will give you anyone strong unless they volunteer. She will probably give you genins and a few weak chunins, Naruto stated. Well, it does not matter. They can always be trained. You have thought this through, Naruto said looking straight at Sasuke. I have, the Uchiha admitted. I will help you with the training, Naruto offered earning a nod from Sasuke. I believe that is all. You can go, I have a few things to discuss with Karen. Sasuke looked at Karen for a moment before shrugging. He walked away from the duo without another word. Naruto turned to Karen. I have already discussed with you why I brought you here and why I want you to live, he said. And you understood my reasons. Yes, though I never asked for this. Karen finished the last part in a whisper. It does not matter. What matters is that I want you to be safe and secured. You have never trained to be a shinobi, despite your special chakra, sensory ability and Uzumaki genes. Karen nodded nervously under his gaze. I will have to change that, Naruto said to the girl. What? You want me to train? No way. Karen, Naruto said calmly to the girl who was now standing on her feet glaring at him. You have the stamina to perform your angry outbursts and the Uzumaki blood in you. You were also able to tear apart a white Zetsu clone in one of your episodes. If you diverted all that energy into training, you could have enough to defend yourself. I can defend myself just the way I am. Can you? You might be able to sense enemies coming towards you. But it will not always be the case. You cannot always outrun you enemies. Karen sighed and sat down. Naruto was a prime example of that. He had caught her even when she knew that he was coming after her. I cannot always protect you. I have no illusions about that. I know that I cannot be everywhere. That is why I need you to be strong enough to at least hold off your enemies until I can be able to get to you if the situation calls for it. Karen said nothing. You have always been sheltered within Orochimaru's hideout. Never knowing what it is like to defend yourself. My mother was a full-blooded Uzumaki like you. But she was strong, and capable of handling herself well. She was very good with seals, even taught Yondaime Hokage some of her seals. Naruto paused for a moment. I want you to carry that Uzumaki name proudly. I want you to be a real Uzumaki. Again, Karen sighed, but this time in defeat. Fine, she said. Good. I will begin your training in a few days after I have claimed my inheritance. Karen decided not to ask what his inheritance was. What exactly are you going to teach me? Basics in Fuinjutsu. The rest you will learn for yourself. Also basic taijutsu. You will also have find a way to use your special chakra without having someone to bite you. Karen sighed in relief. At least it was not anything more damaging to her body. What was she saying? A part of her body was covered with bite marks. Naruto stood up from his seat. You should go and get some food before the sun sets. And also some new clothing. Burn everything in my room. I won't have any use for anything there. I don't even know where to buy the food. Naruto shrugged. Just walk around, you will find what you need. It will be a good experience for you as well. Naruto walked towards the bathroom. The teleportation seals he used to teleport to the hideout was still in place. He would have to remove it since he now no longer would be using it since he won't living in the house. He removed it and walked away. Soon he would have to learn a teleportation jutsu. It would make things easy for him to get where he wants without having to travel long distances, not that he minded anyway. The jutsu would just enable him to get to the hideout, Oto, without a hustle. Naruto left Karen as he went back to the Uchiha compound. Later that day Yugao was nervous. She had heard that Naruto had come back at the village. She wanted to see him. Kakashi had been kind enough to tell her that he had seen the blonde at the Uchiha compound. Even at the Anbu HQ, they were also talking about his return. She had been told that he had returned for a few hours now. She did not know what she would say to him. What could she say? Hey Naruto, I have missed you and I just wanted to see how you were doing. Hey Naruto, I have been thinking about you ever since you decided to leave me and go on your ways. She could not possibly say something like that. Hence for the past 2 hours she had been thinking of the words she would have to say him when she shows up at his door. She could imagine how he would react. He would simply stare at her with a raised brow. That would make things uncomfortable for her. Still, over the past 2 hours, she had found nothing and decided to just go. She went to his house but did not find him. She was somewhat surprised to see a red-haired young woman at his house. Thoughts had run through her head when she saw the girl. But she got over them and politely asked where Naruto was, and the girl told her that he was at the Uchiha compound. With that, she quickly excused herself. That was why she was now within the Uchiha residence. Yugao stood at the only house she had sensed chakra signature within the compound. Sighing nervously, she knocked at the door. She only did it once, as her hands felt weak to do so again. If no one was going to open it, she would leave and come back another day. A minute later, the doors open. Yugao-san. Sasuke said, looking at the woman in front of him. Hello Sasuke. Yugao greeted with some confidence. Is Naruto in here? I went to his house and was told he was here. He is here, Sasuke said. Come in, I will call him. No. I'm not here to stay long. I will be fine here, she said. Sasuke shrugged and walked away from her. A few minutes later, Yugao felt heavy footsteps coming downwards, as if the person was climbing down the stairs. She felt as though each footstep was in motion with her heartbeat. Just as she had thought, Naruto came to the door and looked at her with a raised brow. It was hidden within his hair, but Yugao knew how his expression looked like when his eyebrows were raised. His hypnotizing eyes seemed to gain a glint of redness with the dark night. Surprisingly, he was still wearing his armor. Yugao. Though he did not say it. He was asking her what she wanted. Yugao knew that. Hello Naruto, she managed to say without stuttering. She had gathered her strength now. I was just checking on you, Naruto simply nodded. She had expected that much from him and nothing else. But she was surprised when he spoke next. It is good to see that you are well, he said. Whether he was just saying it, one could not really tell because his expression was still impassive, never showing that he was indeed pleased. However, Yugao knew too well. Naruto never thinks just for the sake of saying them. The knowledge caused her to smile slightly, forgetting that Naruto was still in front of her. She was lucky though, as Naruto saw her smile to her own thoughts and decided not to comment on it. Well anyway, I was wondering if we could get something to eat tomorrow night, she said it with as much confidence as she could master. Naruto seemed to think of it before replying. Sure, he said. He might as well go since she had asked. There was no harm to be done. Yugao was surprised that he had yes. She was even more surprised by the little smile he had on his face. She had not seen it before. It was new. She liked it on his face. The thoughts made the heat on her cheeks rise up a little. She turned around. I will see you tomorrow then, she said, sounding a little happy. She was about to leave but then stopped and turned around to face Naruto. Please don't be wearing your armor, she said with a smile before disappearing. But not before she saw the amused glint in Naruto's face. Naruto closed the door. He took a few steps before stopping as Sasuke spoke, so you are going on a date tomorrow. He managed to keep a straight face when he said that. Naruto looked at Sasuke. What gave you that idea? Sasuke raised the book on his hand, letting Naruto see the cover page. From the title on the cover page, Naruto knew what the book was. Perhaps, he said quietly and went back upstairs. Somewhere deep within Konoha, so it is true, one of the two people said, walking towards an elderly man sitting on a throne. Yes, the man said, looking at the two in front of him. I hear he came back with a red-haired woman. The one that spoke now, was clear that it was an elderly woman. That is also true, the man sitting on a throne said. My root has informed me that she was working with Orochimaru. He must have picked her up when he destroyed Orochimaru's bases, about 2 months ago. Yes, then that must mean that there is something special from about her, if Orochimaru kept her. It would also explain why he took her. The others nodded. No doubt he won't tell anyone about it. He also won't allow her to be touched. If we try to use force, we will just be sending out agents to death. Yes, the elder on the throne said. He knows that we won't move against her using our own ways. That is why he has even allowed her to stay alone. Then we will have to use our power to get her. I have already planned something. There was silence. You both know that there is no way that Sasuke knew about the scrolls. Which means, that he must have told him when they met in Kiri. The others nodded. He knows too much. I once spoke to him before he left and he did not hide the fact that he knew some things he is not supposed to know. You also are aware that he knows about the Uchiha massacre. Yes, he made it clear that he knew in our last council meeting. He is becoming a threat, and he is still not trustworthy. Should he prove to be unmanageable like he has, we have to deal with him. Chapter 16. Naruto looked at his clock. It was already morning. It felt like he had just been sleeping for just an hour. But he knew that he had slept more than that. That was a new experience for him. The sleep was not the most of pleasant. Perhaps it was the headache. Shaking his head, Naruto got out of his bed. He was only wearing short dark blue pants and nothing on top. His well-toned chest left naked. He walked towards his gunbai, which was hanged on a wall inside the bedroom. He took it and placed it on the ground before channeling chakra through it. Seal arrays stretched around the gunbai. He bit his thumb, drawing some blood before swiping the blood across the belly of the gunbai. Right there beside the wall, he went through 2 hand seals before placing both his hands on the ground. His chakra spread across the floor before a seal not so much different from the one that was on his gunbai. Naruto picked up his gunbai. He channeled his chakra through the gunbai before he hit the seal on the floor with the base of the gunbai, and then he was gone. The hideout. Naruto walked out from his room towards the dark passages of his hideout. He left the gunbai in his room. He was still wearing nothing but short blank pants. He walked for a few minutes before reaching a large room that could only be described as a lab. Zetsu was already inside the lab. He turned towards Naruto and spoke. I can't believe that you can still walk like that, he said. Just barely. Naruto said. Is it ready? Yes, I should give you the rest of it later today, the plant-like artificial human replied. Naruto nodded and walked towards a pot holding steaming liquid. A small cup was just beside it. He took the cup and downed it inside the pot. He brought out the cup and looked at it. You should wait for it to cool down, Zetsu said. It does not matter if I drink it hot or cold, Naruto replied before drowning the liquid inside the cup. He emptied it with a few gulps. One could see that whatever it was that he was drinking was bitter by the look on his face. Zetsu just nodded. Naruto was the one who compiled the herbs. He was just told to cook everything. So he knew no better than Naruto. He waited for a minute and his Sharingan activated. He smiled at the change. His skin seemed to be regaining its normal color. Naruto then turned to Zetsu. You did not tell me how things went at your end last night, he said. I wanted to, but you said cooking the herbs was important, so I left without telling you, Zetsu pointed out, earning a silent nod from Naruto. It was important, you know that, Naruto said blankly. The village has yet to be rebuilt. Gurren is still working on hiring contractors. Some of the buildings you designed can't be built by just anyone. But I have already set her up with everything else she will need. So I believe that everything will begin in about a week. Good, Naruto said. Make sure that it does not take more than that week to begin. I don't want anything going out of scheduled time. I want everything to go along with my timetable and accordingly. We'll do that, Zetsu responded. How are the people taking Orochimaru's death? Most of them are celebrating while a few are angry and have sworn to kill that who killed their master. But Gurren has everything under control. Some wish to kill me. Naruto mused. If they try to disturb the rebuilding process, call me. I will quiet them. I can't have anything standing in the way of rebuilding Oto. They are nuisances, are you sure you want to deal with them? Zetsu asked, knowing that Naruto would not like having to handle the nuisance who can't push him. The shinobis in Oto who swore revenge were weak and just bugs too. Naruto. Deal with it, if you can, Naruto said, walking away. Make sure Gurren understands that I don't want anything halting anything once the rebuilding begins. He paused for a moment. I will watch what you have recorded in Uzu in a few days. What will you be busy with in the next few days? I have to deal with the council and whatever that Danzo has planned up for me. I also hear that Mei will be at Konoha to hold talks about an alliance. He paused for a moment. Keep me updated of the workings in Oto. Having said that, his figure completely disappeared from Zetsu's view. Konoha, Uchiha compound. Naruto hanged his gunbai on the wall again and walked towards his bed. He sat down and looked at his nightstand. His forehead protector was laying there, he had placed it there before sleeping. Sighing, he got up, went to the bathroom and took a long cold shower. His hair was long so it took some time to dry it. Oddly enough, he did not mind doing it though. He did so without hurry. XXXXXX Sasuke was already up, he was at the kitchen sipping tea with his book in hand. He was another Kakashi. At least he was not reading anything like what Kakashi read. But he too, like his sensei, was becoming obsessed with reading his book. Sasuke looked at Naruto. He was wearing a long-sleeved black shirt and black pants. At the back of his shirt there both Uchiha and Uzumaki symbols, not that Sasuke could see them. He also wore his gloves. The shirt was shaping his upper body, a testimony to his slightly masculine body. You are up late, Sasuke said, his eyes going back to his book. Naruto did not comment. Sasuke did not need to know that he had been up for some time. He had set up privacy seals in his room so Sasuke could not hear anything coming from it. He sat down and a thought came to him. He had already collected the Shinigami mask and should fulfill his promise to the Kyuubi. But first, he had to deal with the council, then he would meet with the Kyuubi. With the new changes, things had to move up fast. But he would not hurry to do things not prepared. He just had to do things at a fast schedule. By the end of the day, he should have dealt with the council. With the council dealt with, he could move freely to do what was next without the foolish elders near him to question his actions. Where are you planning to base the military police force? Naruto asked, speaking for the first time since entering the kitchen. Sasuke never took his eyes off his book. He had not thought of where he would base the police force. In the end, he just shrugged. You cannot head a force like the police force without proper headquarters. Where will you keep mission files, military files, where will you make your meetings? Every military organization has its own headquarters. Where did the old police force operate? At the compound. They used the Naka Shrine as their secret meeting place. Since the clan ran everything, they did not need to build headquarters. That's not to say that you won't run everything. But creating your own quarters will keep things organized and make the police force run effectively. He paused for a moment. It will also help you separate military work with clan matters. Naruto explained everything to Sasuke. They can be built, just need the resources to build, Sasuke stated, now looking straight at Naruto. You should start drawing up the plans, Naruto said, standing up. Sasuke nodded. He would begin to draw up the plans for the Konoha military police force. He was not good with planning things to that detail though. He would just have to do it with someone's help. Naruto went to make himself some breakfast. After that, he went back to the kitchen table and sat down eating his breakfast in peaceful silence. He had a lot in his mind today. A few hours of meditating will surely solve his mounting thoughts. A knock on the door and Sasuke was already on his way to see who it was. When he opened the door, he saw an owl-masked Anbu standing in front of him. What is it? He asked calmly. You are wanted at the council chambers along with Naruto, now, the Anbu said in his monotone and professional tone. Sasuke nodded. I will go and call Naruto, he said to the Anbu and closed the door going back inside. We are wanted at the council chambers, Sasuke said to his fellow Uchiha. They are getting impatient, Naruto said standing up. For them to have gathered at this time of the day only meant that they were becoming impatient. Well, it does not matter anyway. This works out best for me, he said walking towards Sasuke. Let's go, he said. What about the Anbu standing at the door? Sasuke asked knowing that Naruto wanted to leave via Sunshine. Both of them knew the location of the chambers so they could teleport themselves there. The Anbu that had been sent to fetch them was still standing at the door, he could sense them. Sasuke had a thought that Naruto was aware of that. Naruto shrugged, he will follow as soon as we leave, he said and disappeared in a swirl of flames. Sasuke sighed and also disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Just as Naruto had said, the Anbu quickly left following them. Council chambers. Naruto and Sasuke walked into the chambers calmly. The rest of the council members were already seated. They seemed to be just waiting for the two Uchihas to arrive. Naruto remained calm even though each eye of the council member was towards them. He walked towards an empty seat which he figured was the chair of the Uchiha clan head. Sasuke went to stand behind him. Both said not a word, they just looked at the council members. What is the meaning of this? Elder Koharu questioned looking straight at the pair. Who told you to sit down? Now that was addressed to Naruto who was the one to have taken a seat. I don't need to be told to sit down when I know where to sit, Naruto replied, eyes narrowing at the elder. There was only one word for the expression on his face, unreadable. You were called to the meeting, you are not part of the council. Only members of the council can give that kind of an answer. Your lack of respect is reaching a new high, boy. The other members simply watched the play. To some it was fun. Remembering Naruto's last visit to the chambers, it was bound to be interesting. There was no need to intervene. You are the one who is being disrespectful, Naruto started calmly. His saying caused the others to look at him in surprise mixed with slight shock at his words. Even Sasuke was surprised by that. You questioning why I have sat down and saying that only council members can sit, you are basically saying that the Uchiha head clan no longer has a seat in the council. He paused for a moment just to let his words sink in. Is that what you are saying, elder? Are you saying that one of the founding clans no longer has a seat in the council? Now there was a pause as Naruto's words sunk on everyone's head. What Naruto was saying was that he was the head of the Uchiha clan. What are you saying, Naruto? Do I have to simplify my words to you? Naruto questioned. What he was saying was pretty much clear to everyone who was in the room. Are you saying that you are the head of the Uchiha clan? Danzo asked, although he already knew the answer. Do you have to ask questions you already have answers to? Naruto asked flatly looking at Danzo. The old war hawk wisely said nothing. We never gave our consent to this. You cannot be head clan unless we say so, Elder Koharu said. Ho! Naruto's eyes held a glint of amusement for a second. Since when do advisors select clan heads? As far as I know you are an advisor, nothing less, nothing more. That was indeed true. Not even the Hokage had a say in that matter. Clans had their own ways of operating, whatever happened in clan compound was nobody's business, even the Hokage held no say in that regard. The Uchiha clan was a major clan and once held great power and greater influence before the Kyuubi attack. No one had a say in anything they did. Hokage-sama, are you going to allow this? Before Tsunade could speak, Naruto spoke again. It is not up to the Hokage to select clan heads. You should know that. Perhaps you have been given too much power, you have come to believe that you can control everything. A brief silence, watch what you say boy, the word, boy, was emphasized. On the contrary, you are the one who should watch what you say, advisor. As head clan, I will not allow my position to be questioned by an advisor who has stayed in power for too long. Naruto paused for a moment. I will not allow you to call me, boy, advisor. I am head of the Uchiha clan and you will address me as such. As much as I find this amusing, Tsunade started in thought. We have to get this meeting started, she said. I wish he was always in these kind of meetings to put those fools in their place, Sum thought with a small smile. The elders were used to get their way. Even when something was wrong, one was brave enough to defy them. Most people simply bowed their heads and allowed themselves to be bossed around. Having Naruto to tell them the truth was a pleasant scene to watch. Naruto was not afraid of them and simply told them the truth without going out of the law. He told them everything that most had been afraid to say. Not even the Sandaime was brave enough to tell them that they have gotten used to have too much power. It amused her how Naruto was not afraid to simply call them advisor. He had emphasized that word to remind them that they were mere advisors, not the ones in control of the village. Often they had been given too much power to the point that they thought they could run the village. Even though sometimes Tsunade denied them whatever they wanted, she did not tell it like it was as Naruto did it. The blonde Hokage held more power in Konoha than Naruto did, but she failed to act where it mattered the most. She should be thankful that Naruto was present to do that for her. Tsunade cleared her throat and looked at Naruto with a straight face. You may be correct that the Hokage does not have any authority over clan matters, but in this council I have authority. And I would appreciate it you would speak to me first before dropping a bombshell like this again, she said. Naruto refrained from commenting. True, she had control over the council. But the Uchiha clan had been part of the council since its founding. She had no power to say otherwise. Also, before the massacre, the Uchiha clan still had their seat. After the massacre, nothing was done about the empty seat. They just continued on to live believing that no one would rise to take it. Koharu, Homura, Danzo, you three are the ones who pushed for these meeting to be held. You can get onto why you have called us all here at this time of the morning. This time Tsunade gave a slight glare at the elders for forcing her to wake up early. She hated morning meetings. Simply because they forced her to wake up at a time she refused to wake up at. Danzo narrowed his eye at Naruto before speaking. First we want to discuss about Naruto's disappearance from the village, he said. Tsunade decided not to say anything to allow Naruto to do the talking. He was the one who left the village and she had already spoken to him about it. What about it? Naruto questioned, keeping his unreadable expression. What Danzo is trying to say is that we would like to know why you left alone without Jiraiya. We also question your method of leaving the village. We also like to know where you were during the past years. Homura listed as the council members listened. I left without him because I did not need him for my training. As you're questioning of my method, well, that's a question I cannot answer. As to where I was, I refuse to tell you, Naruto stated in a firm tone. This boy has no respect and clearly disregards of the way we do things, Homura said, shaking his head. A child that does not listen to his elders does not deserve a seat in this council, he said. Last time we allowed you to leave without answers. This time we will get the answers, even if we have to get into your mind to do so, he stated, calmly gazing at Naruto through his glasses. Another glint of amusement passed through Naruto's face. Everyone saw it. Sasuke wondered how Naruto was going to get out of this one. So far, he was doing well and giving reasons that neither the elders nor clan heads could deny. Yes, Naruto was definitely more suited to deal with the council than him. That child who does not listen to his elders has more power than you, advisor. Should I remind you that I am also head of the Uchiha clan, so if you continue to call me boy, you might have a displeased Uchiha clan. He paused for a moment. This matter also seems to bother you three advisors the most. I should have expected clan heads to be pressing the issue since they represent the shinobi council aside from their clans. But you are mere advisors and should keep advising the Hokage than questioning things that are not under your control, he said. He could see the glares and narrowed look he got from the elders. You make me wonder if you have other motives. We are simply trying to get our shinobi under control as it seems you do whatever that you please, Koharu stated while Danzo simply decided to play it smart. Our shinobi. You speak as if you are the one who controls the shinobi in this village. Did you not read your employment contract when the Sandaime hired you? He paused for a moment. If you did, you would know by now that you have no shinobi under your control. Well, except for one of you, that was Danzo. Everybody knew he had his root Anbu under his control. Tsunade, are you going to allow him to speak to us like this? Koharu questioned, barely containing her anger. Tsunade was wondering why Naruto was not simply telling them that he had already discussed the matter with her. It was unless he just wanted to screw with the elders. Well, she could as well enjoy the show, they did wake her ungodly time. Sasuke bent down and whispered to Naruto, "You are enjoying this, aren't you?" Naruto said nothing. "This matter does concern us, especially if it has to do with village security," Danzo stated, seeing that his fellow elders did not know how to respond. "Are you suggesting that the Uchiha head clan is a threat to village security?" "No, I am simply stating a fact," Danzo responded coolly. "It seems to me you are saying that I am a threat to the village's security." "I should be the one saying that to you, Danzo, considering what you do underground." Danzo wisely chose to keep his mouth shut. If he asked something or what Naruto meant by that, the blonde would have surely said something he liked to keep to himself. "Are you going to answer the question, or will we have to use force to get them?" "You cannot get them even if you tried," Naruto said, just to make it clear that they could not force anything out of him. "Unfortunately, you won't get to try since I have already handled the matter with the Hokage. He would have liked it if they tried to get into his head though. That was surely going to be amusing. He could have just said that from the beginning," some council members thought. "Is this true, Tsunade?" Hokage-sama, Tsunade corrected with a glare. "Yes, it is true. I have solved the matter with him. We talked about it yesterday along with Jiraiya. Then do you mind sharing with us what you discussed?" "Yes, that came as a surprise to everyone." Shikaku was quick to get over his surprise. "I believe if the Hokage has already discussed the matter, then we should not waste more time dwelling on it," he said, earning nods from the other members. Naruto 1, Elders 0, Sasuke smiled. "I agree with Shikaku," Hiashi stated. Kaharu scowled but said nothing. "What is the other matter you called us for?" Tsunade asked, looking straight at the elders. Danzo took his time before speaking. "The Uchiha clan is nearly extinct. To make sure that we still have the Sharingan, we need to put these two under the CRA Act so that they can breed more Sharingan wielders." He eyed the rest of the members to see their reaction. None seemed to object his saying. "The Sharingan is a powerful tool. You all know that. We cannot afford to lose it," he finished his speech. "I have to agree with Danzo," Hiashi said. "Recreating the Uchiha will also help cement Konoha's power as the strongest village within the great nations." Hiashi might have never liked the Uchiha, but he could not deny that they were powerful. He just hated that they insisted that their Dujutsu was the strongest while it was clear that the all-seeing Byakugan was more powerful. "Kumogakure has become strong ever since collecting two Bijus. We might have the Kyuubi, but soon they might try to challenge us. You all know that Kumo's Jinchuriki have control over their Bijus, which makes them perfect weapons." Danzo added more weight to his earlier words. "We don't know if our own Jinchuriki can control his Biju." Naruto and Sasuke just watched. Sasuke had no problems with getting himself married. He just hated the idea that they only wanted him to breed more weapons for them. He hated that kind of mentality. He was not some weapon for the village's use. It sickened him how they could talk like that as if he was not there. They did not care if they could hear them or not. They were making it clear to them that they saw them as nothing but weapons. Tsunade was interested in how Naruto would try to get out of this one. It was within the laws of Konoha for the elders to make such a request. It was also no secret that Sasuke desired to restore his clan, but Naruto. She could not tell. He did not seem to be the type to be interested in women or anything for that matter. If it was her former teammate, he would have been dancing in joy at the idea. Being under the Clan Restoration Act meant that he would have to marry a minimum of 4 women. Jiraiya would never miss a chance like that. He would certainly take up the offer at the chance to have his own harem. She could picture him grinning like a madman had he been the one in Naruto's position. Looking at Naruto, she could see that his expression looked the same as he came, unreadable. She had stopped trying to figure out what was going on in his head some time ago. He was just impossible to read and always seemed calm over everything. He seemed to never lose his calm. She would have lost it if it was her the elders had basically called a weapon for the village. Sasuke on the hand seemed to be barely containing himself. She could see the glare he was sending to the council members. His eyes were now like his fellow clansmen. Naruto always had his Sharingan activated. But Sasuke did not always have his activated. But since the council started talking about making him breed more weapons for them, he activated it. She figured that he had done it unconsciously. His eyes were so much different from Naruto's despite being of the same in shape and appearance. Sasuke's eyes were glaring at the council members while the three Tomos spun furiously. But Naruto's was calm, they did not even seem to be looking at the clan members. He seemed to be looking past them. His eyes were controlled and held a background of power, great power. I think it will be best if we have them marry from our clans, Inoichi suggested. That sounds reasonable, the head clan of the Aburame stated. It is obvious that no one here clearly trusts Naruto-san. So if he were to marry from our clans, it would make healthy relationships between the Uchiha and other clans. This will also form attachments to the village. Before Sasuke also left to train with Kakashi, he was also one thought away from leaving the village for power. So if both of them marry from our clans, it would create attachments that cannot be easily broken, reducing the chance of betrayal. Yes, Homura agreed. That was before he had realized that it was Naruto who had said the last part. The elder looked at Naruto carefully. He did not seem bothered by the fact that he was not trusted. No, he does not care if he was trusted or not. He told himself. Tsunade was surprised that Naruto could say that. She did not believe that he had said it just to add to the point that if he and Sasuke married from other clans it would have them more trusted. She also did not believe that he had said it to say, I understand what you are suggesting and I agree with it. No, that was no it, far from it. If anything, he was just finishing what Shibi had not said in his statement. The words had nothing to do with how he was going to respond to the proposed CRA. It was like he wanted them to know that he understood the game of underneath and they could not fool him with it. Naruto took the time to speak his thoughts. Since we are talking about the restoration of clans, it is my understanding that only clan members of a clan that is nearly extinct can be put under the act. If so, then should not the Hokage be put under the act? There was complete silence. Not even the elders were expecting that kind of question. Tsunade nearly had a heart attack upon hearing his words. She stared at him with unblinking eyes. She was the last of the Senju clan. If she were to die without a child, then it would be the end of the Senju. You all know that she is the last of the Senju clan. The clan is nearly extinct. I know she is a woman and we cannot say that she should marry more than one husband. But she should not be single at this stage of her life. She should have been married a long time ago. Her children are the ones who will be placed under the CRA, Naruto added. The fact that you did not propose this when she returned to the village makes me wonder if you want the Senju clan to be extinct. He had not said that because he held love of the Senju clan, or anything. He knew that Tsunade would refuse something like that. Since her precious Dan died, she has not let a man near her. He had simply said it as any concerned clan head would. The eyes of the council members turned towards the blonde Hokage. Tsunade stared back them, don't even think about it. It will not happen, he exclaimed firmly. And besides, I am no longer at an age where I can have children. You may be at an advanced age, but that could only be a problem for a civilian. You are a shinobi and the greatest medical nin, you could fix up something, Naruto stated. Tsunade cursed Naruto and glared at him for shifting the focus towards her. She had an idea that he did not care about her clan. He was just enjoying himself. That was why he said it. He just wanted to see the council members dance around for his amusement. That brat, he is enjoying this, she thought furiously. It was fun while he was doing it to the elders. They deserved it. Looking at Naruto, you could disagree with Tsunade's thoughts. Naruto was calmly watching everyone with his unreadable expression. His eyes held no amusement. He did not seem to be enjoying himself. Danzo had the same thought as Tsunade. Naruto was just screwing with them. He cursed the blonde-haired Uchiha. He was able to turn everything to his favor as well as for his amusement without using force, or the Sharingan. He simply sat down and spoke. That aside, regarding me, forget about the CRA, Naruto said, making Tsunade sigh in relief that he was no longer continuing with his other subject. What? You cannot force me into the act, Naruto stated simply. Under the same act, it says that you cannot choose who I marry. And it says that I must be 18 plus to be forced into the act. Under that age, I have to agree to do it. But in this case, I refuse. Danzo gritted his teeth silently. The blonde was correct. They could not force him. But soon they would be able to do it. They just had be patient. You said, with regards to me, Are you saying that you do not have the same thoughts as Sasuke? Sasuke, Naruto said. Sasuke nodded and opened his mouth. Yes, our thoughts differ on that. I am not saying that I will allow myself to be forced into the act. But I will probably marry before I reach 18. But let me make this clear, he paused, intensifying his stare. You will not choose whom I marry. And you will not try to make my children weapons. Sasuke, you don't have to worry about that, Naruto said. They may be able to invoke their card about the CRA. But once your children are born they can't touch them since they will be protected under our clan. By the time your children reach our age they will probably be dead. The elders glared at Naruto for this. Was it a threat? They believed so. He could have just said it referring to their age. They had grown old and would not make much more years than they would like. Tsunade sighed. That went better than expected. I believe that settles the matter, she said, looking around the table to see if there was an objection. There was none. Good. Let us move on to another matter then, she said, looking at the elders. Sasuke decided to call it a draw. Despite the fact that Naruto got what he wanted, he would still be forced into the act when he reached 18. For now, it was a victory for Naruto. However, it was not a loss for the elders either, hence the draw. I believe that we should put Naruto and Sasuke along with one of my root in a same team to make our strongest team of shinobi that would rival the three Sanins, Danzo suggested. Sharingan users together a team with only Naruto and Sasuke would become fearsome, probably even more than the Sanins combined. That is taking into account what we have heard of Naruto's abilities so far, Shikaku said, earning nods from the others. Were they not on the same team in their Genin days? Sum asked. They were, the Godime replied. Though the team was always successful and was perhaps the best Genin team we had, they never got along together. But I don't think that will be a problem anymore. Then why don't you just reinstate the old team? No, Danzo said, putting his foot down. We need someone who can be able to compete with them. Not someone who will be burdened to them. Despite the other former teammates' growth, she is nowhere near their level. Putting her with them will only hold them back. Tsunade felt insulted now. Sakura was her student. She had the capacity to surpass her in a few years. For Danzo to cast her aside like that was insulting to her skills. And you have someone who can be compatible with them? She asked sarcastically, not expecting Danzo to answer. However, the man answered her anyway. Yes, he replied calmly. That way you not only get to see what we can do, but you also get to keep an eye on us up close. That was no question, it was a statement. Danzo did not need to affirm anything. Everybody knew it was the truth. No, Naruto said. That's not up to you but the Hokage. Naruto could see the small smirk on Koharu's face. He chose to ignore her words and continued. But if you insist, I must warn you. I have become so used to working alone that someone working with me becomes in danger. I also become very excited in the face of a good fight that I can become reckless and start to throw jutsus everywhere. Therefore, I might kill your agent accidentally while excited. Underneath, Naruto's words read like this: if you push it I will kill your agent and say it was an accident. Danzo understood that so did some of the clan heads who bothered to look underneath. It was a threat, but the fact that Naruto did not use those exact words made it impossible for anyone to do anything. He could always deny it and say he never meant anything by his words. Even Tsunade understood that. She also knew very well that if Danzo pushed for it, his root agent would be killed. Naruto was bold to say something like that. Nobody would be brave enough to say something like that in front of the whole council. Tsunade suppressed a shiver at the thought of how things were going in Naruto's way. It was like he was just saying some magic words that played within their heads. She was no longer getting what she wanted. Even the elders were not having things go their way, but Naruto was. The fact that he had stopped using logic and the law to defy the council, meant something different. He had used logic and the law to say no. But right now he had just used a threat. Even if they pushed for him to admit that he had threatened Danzo, he would never admit it. If he could, then he could be charged, since it was wrong threatening a council member. She could see the answer he would give when asked if he was threatening Danzo: assume what you wish, and then he would shut his mouth and refuse to say anything further. That changed things when she looked at him again. At first she thought he was just amusing himself. But now she thought otherwise. He had already insulted the elders. If anything, he just wanted to show the elders that there was nothing they could do to him. But he could get them, either with logic or threats. And he was doing it all without lifting a finger or leaving something that could get him in trouble. Perhaps he might get in trouble with the elders since they obviously won't let this slide. Yap. Scratch that amusement part. He was simply showing his superiority to the elders. I don't trust Danzu's route, Tsunade stated truthfully. Neither did the clan heads trust them. But I have a better suggestion. Naruto has proven himself to be capable to handling himself well. He is like Jiraiya in terms of power. However, if we want a team that will surpass the Sannin, I suggest we put Kakashi in a team with Naruto and Sasuke. 3 Sharingan users in the same team. That team would become famous than any other. They could become unstoppable. The team would just be what they need to cement their status as the strongest. That sounds reasonable, I second that, Chusa said. Kakashi has worked with both of them. He has also trained Sasuke. Put into the team, he can work well together since he already knows them. A strong team like that could prove useful and ensure that Konoha always succeeds when assigned dangerous missions. Even Kaharu and Homura had to agree with that. Kakashi could be so much better suited for the proposed team than Danzu's root agent. Of course, they were out of sync in thought with Danzo as he wanted to spy on Naruto closely. He did not care about anything else. Tsunade nodded to the clan head's words. It will be, but I also think that this team should be reserved for dangerous missions that our normal shinobi cannot complete. The other clan heads nodded. Danzo already knew he lost this one. They could be our elite team. Good. Since nobody has, she trailed off and looked at the 2 Uchiha. Do you have a problem with it? Naruto said nothing. No, Sasuke responded. Tsunade smiled. Since we all agree, I will do the paperwork for the team once this meeting is over, she said. Is there anything else? Kaharu whispered something to Danzo, but the old war hawk shook his head silently. Naruto guessed it was about Karen. Surely someone like Danzo would be interested in getting his hands on her to see what was so special about her. Actually, there is something else. Sasuke started getting eyes around the table to focus on him, except for Naruto's. I would like to have the Konoha military police force reinstated, that is if it was disbanded after the massacre, he said. What? Elder Kaharu questioned in a rather loud voice. That is unacceptable, we will not allow it. She stated firmly. She was not just about to give the brats more power than they already had. A seat in the council was all she could handle. The military police force, one said. They used to be effective during those days. And they controlled the streets with force to ensure that everything worked smoothly. Yes, they used to do their jobs well. That was before the Kyuubi attack, but after the Kyuubi attack the Uchiha clan lost trust in the village after they were suspected to have been the ones manipulating the Biju, Sum stated that everyone else knew. But some hated them because they thought they were superior to everyone in their arrogance. They also did not allow non-Uchihas into the military force, Hiashi stated more like I used to hate them because they thought they were superior to my clan and refused to have my clan members into the military force. It did not matter if they were the ones that controlled the force. But to refuse his help had been unforgivable. It does not matter if they manage the streets of Konoha with much order or not. We will not allow the military force to be reinstated again, Homura stated firmly. Danzo narrowed his eyes at the 2 Uchiha. He was wondering what they were playing at, what they had planned. He refused to believe that they would simply try to have the military force reinstated just for the good of Konoha. So this is something he wanted to talk about but said it had to wait for Naruto, Tsunade thought. Now she knew that it was not Naruto's plan to begin with what Sasuke was proposing. He might have agreed to it, but he was not the mastermind behind the proposal. As the clan heads have said, the military force kept order in the village. Its usefulness is undeniable, Sasuke stated seeing that the elders were down with the idea. It does not matter what is said about the military force. Bottom line is that we will not allow it. Why? Surprisingly the question from a very calm-looking Naruto. Last time this force was used as a power gain by the Uchiha. It resulted in more problems within the village. We will not make the same mistake twice. Could you share how Uchiha used the force to gain power or about the problems that were caused by the police force, Naruto stated. The others looked at the elders to hear their answer. Certainly, they were interested in their answer. They did not deny that the police force was useful in keeping order within the streets of Konoha and watching over the shinobi of the village. The elders cursed but said nothing. To me, the police force did nothing but strip the Uchiha clan of any real power within the village. You and I know very well that Tobirama had trust issues with the Uchiha. After Hashirama died, he created the police force to keep the Uchiha in check and to strip them of any political power within the village despite the fact that they are one of the founding clans. Naruto explained the truth that the elders knew very well. You know this very well and yet you say that the clan used the police force to gain power. Is it that you just have something against us, advisors? We have nothing against you, boy, Kaharu stated. But we refuse to give more power to a boy we do not even trust. I do not trust you and always think that you are always plotting something against me, but despite that, I say nothing about the power you have. I can say that nobody in this room except you two trusts Danzo. However, nobody says anything about his route. The elders glared at Naruto. Each clan in Konoha contributes to the village with something or what they specialize in. We will contribute to the village by offering our power in maintaining peace within the village, Sasuke stated. Unlike Root which works underground doing who knows what, the police force works where everyone can see. Even the Hokage can see its operations. With Root, everyone is in the dark of what happens down there, Naruto spoke taking over from Sasuke. You have also made it clear that you don't trust us. By allowing us to run the police force we will get to show that we can be trustworthy by doing a fine job in keeping peace within the village. Sasuke paused for a moment. As Naruto said, the police force was used to keep the Uchiha in check. While running the police force you can still see our movements within the village clearly than when we are within our compound, he concluded. That was suitable or believable being said by Sasuke. For Naruto, no. Tsunade was sure that Naruto did not care if they trusted him or not. As long as nobody did anything to disturb him or get in his way he was fine with everything. Sasuke's reasons also seemed reasonable enough. Do you still object to the idea despite all that? Naruto questioned. Yes, Kaharu said stubbornly. Well, it does not matter what you think, Naruto stated, shocking everyone. They really have to become used to responses like that. What are you saying? The elder asked with narrowed eyes. The council's job is to advise the Hokage in running the village. Not to make decision for the Hokage, correct? The clan heads nodded. But you have power when there is no Hokage, and in times of emergency you can overrule the Hokage subject to majority votes. The council can also overrule the Hokage if the majority do not agree with his/her decision. In this matter, the police force was made to exist by Tobirama as the Hokage, not his council. It is not for you to decide, but the Hokage is the leader of the village and the one in charge of all military forms in the village. So if the Hokage agrees with the proposal and my fellow clan heads agree with her, your thoughts matters not as they will overrule you with majority. That was spot on. You are forgetting that the Hokage has no control over the military police force. That is not entirely true, Naruto stated. The police force may be able to act on their own and judge shinobi they suspect of wrongdoing, but the Hokage has control in all forms of military force, except for Root which is not actually part of Konoha's military force, Naruto revealed. The Root that was part of Konoha's military force was disbanded by the Sandaime. So in Konoha's books, Root does not exist. The Root that exists now is Danzu's military force. That is given because they are the judicial organization of the village. So they act as law enforcers of the village. But the Hokage oversees everything. She may not control the force like Anbu, but she has certain rights within the organization, Naruto concluded. Tsunade, tell me you are not going to agree with this. I have to say that the police military force is useful. And if it is to be reinstated, I support it, Danzo stated, surprising everyone, even so the elders. What? Danzo, you can't agree with this. Danzo remained quiet. His fellow counselors could be foolish sometimes. But if we are to reinstate the organization, we will have a problem since there are only 2 members of the Uchiha clan, Danzo said again. Oh, so that is what he is after, thought many who figured why Danzo would allow something like that to happen. Problem. You mean the issue of members for the organization? Sasuke asked. Danzo nodded. We were hoping that the Hokage could give us a few recruits, he said. Before Tsunade could say anything, Naruto added to Sasuke's words. Have in mind that this time, we will accept shinobi from other members, more specifically shinobi from the Hyuga clan. We will accept even genins or chunins. You don't have to worry about losing your strong shinobi to the organization. If you give us genins and chunins, we will put them through training so they can meet the requirements for entering the police force, Sasuke said. The two were just sweetening the proposal just to make it even more attractive. You could not possibly deny that they had thought this through. Tsunade thought for a moment. If she allowed this to pass, she could be able to see their movements within the village. This will also reduce some work for her. So far, she had to deal with some things that if the police had been alive, they would have dealt with it. So if we allow this, who will head the organization? I will, Sasuke stated. Tsunade nodded. Well, that definitely confirmed it. It was Sasuke's plan to begin with. This made her decision a little bit easy than it would have been if it was by Naruto. With Sasuke, she trusted Jiraiya and Kakashi's judgment that he had changed for the good. Fine, I will draw up the paperwork and hand you files of shinobi you may want to recruit, Tsunade said, seeing that the clan heads were in agreement. Danzo smirked inwardly. Since he failed to get one of his to get teamed up with Naruto and Sasuke, he had thought of another plan to get his route to monitor the two closely. Fortunately for him, the two brought the police force up. With this, he could easily sneak one or two of his route into the police force. This was even better than having one route teamed up with them. Is there anything else you will need for the police force? Yes, if it is acceptable, can you make mention of the police force to academy graduates? Should they be interested, they can be given a chance to apply for recruitment. If we want them, we can take them and put them under a training program that Naruto and I will design, Sasuke said. This will give anyone who wants to be at the police force a chance. The Uchiha knew how to sweeten up things. How could you refuse something that gave your shinobi plenty of opportunity to maintain peace and protect the village? That sounds good, Tsunade said. I have a question, Shikaku said. What kind of training will it be and how long will the training be? I hope it is not like what Danzo does, Tsunade spoke with clear disdain. As Sasuke said, we will design the training program. You will see it once the program is completed. As for how long, it will depend on how fast a trainee learns. But the maximum time will be around 2 to 3 years for academy graduates, Naruto answered Shikaku's question. Is there anything else? Yes, this time it was Naruto. There are two things actually. First, I want you to unfreeze the Uchiha and the Yondaim's accounts. The money will be useful in building police force HQ. Why the Yondaim's? It is mine, is it not? Tsunade sighed. She really did not understand Naruto at all. He refused to accept Minato as his father but claims what the man owned as his belonging. Perhaps he just wanted it now because he knew the money would be useful. If not, he could have claimed it long ago. Fine, but I cannot give you all the money at once. I will give you 25% of the Uchiha clan and 50% of the Yondaim's money. The rest will be paid back in monthly terms, Tsunade stated. Naruto just nodded. He would take the Yondaim's money to Oto to help rebuild. The 25% was enough to build military police force quarters. What is the second thing? Naruto looked at the elders. Listen to me and listen very carefully because I will not repeat this. By the end of the day I want every scroll you have stole from the Uchiha burned. What are you talking about, Naruto? I ordered them to give Sasuke every scroll, Tsunade said with narrowed eyes. She would make them pay if they disobeyed her orders. And we returned every scroll. Naruto ignored that statement. They did, but made copies of certain scrolls that contained clan secrets. As every clan head would agree with me, we like clan secrets to be kept clan secrets. The clan heads nodded in agreement. They were called clan secrets for a reason. You fools, you know something like that is punishable. Tsunade stated, glaring at them. What proof does he have that we indeed made copies? Homura asked. Fine then, if you do not do as I say, the underground will crumble to dust after I set them ablaze with the black flames of Amaterasu, Naruto stated. Now the elders knew that Naruto would not have made that claim if he did not know that they had made copies. Considering his attitude, he would surely do as he said he would. Fine, Kaharu said. By that you are admitting that you had made copies of Uchiha clan secrets, Tsunade said. The elders said nothing. This offense will not go unpunished. Tsunade turned to the rest of the council. Well, I believe that is it. If there is nothing, you are all dismissed except for you elders. Naruto was the first to stand up. If something like this happens again, I will either wipe out memories or terminate anyone found in possession of Uchiha clan secrets, illegally. This so to preserve clan secrets, I do believe other clan heads will agree with me, he said and disappeared along with Sasuke. After the clan heads had left, Tsunade turned to the elders, now, let us talk about your punishment. Uchiha compound, that went better than I had anticipated, Sasuke stated as they entered their house. How did you expect it to go? Naruto asked walking towards the door. He opened the door and walked inside towards the kitchen. Well, you made it so easy, we got what we wanted without giving away anything. You also managed to make enemies with the elders, Sasuke said. That just makes things interesting, does not it? Huh. Today I showed the elders that I was superior to them and that I could challenge their arguments and stand victorious. I also insulted them, he paused and looked at Sasuke. But for what purpose? You just wanted them to become your enemies. They already hated me to begin with. I only gave them a push to make drastic decisions. Why? I don't think someone like you would need to deal the elders in a more legal way, Sasuke stated, knowing that if Naruto wanted to deal with the elders he would simply do it without a need for legal grounds to do it. Correct. He did not feel insulted by the words of Sasuke. That was who he was and he was proud of that. But this way is better. It will be interesting to watch their feeble minds try to figure out how to deal with me. You know that they will fail. Is this for your amusement? Perhaps, but I need something that will keep things interesting or I will become bored. Sasuke decided not to ask what the blonde would do if he got bored. So what is this route? I heard Kakashi and Jiraiya talking about it once. But never asked what it is. Root is an elite organization of elite shinobi trained by Danzo. They operate underground and only take orders from him. He trained them that way. If there is an organization that dealt with dirty work, it is Root. The Sandaime disbanded it during his reign but Danzo did not, Naruto gave a short explanation. Danzo along with Homura and Kaharu are people you cannot trust. That is clear, by your obvious dislike of them, Sasuke stated. I will give you a more detailed file on Root, its founding and some of its operation for the police force. This will help you to deal with some of the matters within Konoha, Naruto said. You should go to Tsunade before end of day and take the paperwork she said she would draw. After that the Konoha military police force should be back in business, Naruto stated standing up. Where are you going? I am going to see Karen, Naruto responded. You go and see Shikamaru, he should be useful with the plans for the police force, he said and disappeared in a swirl of flames. Sasuke sighed. Naruto always had the last word. The blonde did not wait for him to give a reply. Well, at least he was helpful with what he needed. Everything was on track now. He had no reasons to complain. What he was left with was dealing with his traitorous brother. Iwagakure Onoki smiled silently as he looked at the recent report of his military force. One could never believe that the village had never actually recovered from its losses from the Third Shinobi World War. They had suffered too much loss than any other village. Most of it was thanks to that cursed Yondaime Hokage. But by the time he made them suffer, he had yet to become Hokage. That son of a bitch became Hokage because of what he did to his forces. Onoki cursed the blasted blonde-haired Hokage. Well, it mattered not anyway. He was dead right now. And his village was almost at full power. His village had been avoiding conflicts with other villages while they rebuilt and recovered from their losses. Things were now looking good. But it was not only looking good for his village only, Kiri was also recovering from its recent civil war. Suna was also recovering from the major losses they suffered when they invaded Konoha with sound. Kumo looked strong as ever. They had their two Jinchurikis who had control over their bijus. His own Jinchurikis were outside the village. Thinking of that, he really should have them return to the village. They were needed should something occur within the elemental nations. He could never deny that Jinchurikis were village's secret weapons. Onoki sighed. He knew that his Jinchurikis were really stubborn and it would take much effort to get them to return to the village. Tsuchikage-sama, a monotone voice said, sounding a bit tired. Onoki looked up and saw the Anbu he had sent to investigate the Naruto matter. What did you find? We found what seemed to be Orochimaru's hideout, sir, the leader of the squad said. Did you find Orochimaru? No, but we found one corpse and someone we believe to be Yakushi Kabuto. He was alive when we found him, barely though. Where is he? Onoki asked, looking forward to questioning Kabuto. We took him to the hospital. He won't be able to speak for a few days, sir. Onoki nodded. What else did you find? Nothing, Tsuchikage-sama, the Anbu said. The hideout was empty, there were no scrolls or anything. Even the labs were empty. Were you able to see if he was there? Yes, he was indeed at the hideout. It also looks there was a fight. Onoki became silent for a moment. Go and inform Squad Beta and Alpha of a mission. He then told them what their mission was. Hi, the ANBU saluted and left the office. While his village was recovering, Konoha was also becoming strong. That cursed village never tones down. They are always gathering more power. Whenever someone great from their village disappears, another rises. That Uchiha brat was after Orochimaru, that was certain. Kabuto was Orochimaru's number 2. He was always with Orochimaru, if the reports were true. That meant that Naruto must have gotten to Orochimaru. This explains why he was inside the Earth country. But that left a question. Why Orochimaru? It was done silently. Could it be that Orochimaru had something he wanted? Regardless of what it was, he had to keep his eyes open. Kabuto would definitely give him some much-needed intel. Konoha Yugao walked silently with a broad smile on her face. Yes, life was good. She was quite happy. She did not know why, but she felt really happy. Her Anbu career was back on track, she was thinking of quitting though. Working at Anbu never gave her much time to spend with her friends and enjoy her life a bit. She never felt the need to enjoy her life before, but now, she wanted to enjoy it as much as she could. She could retire from Anbu and just be a normal Junin of the village. She could spend much of her time doing what she wanted. For as long as she could remember, she had been an Anbu operative. That was her life. She loved to do her job. Protecting the village from the shadows was the best she could do. She had been doing that for years now. Perhaps now was the time for her to start living her life away from the dangerous life of Anbu. You seem happy, a voice spoke, snapping Yugao out of her thoughts. She looked up to see the red eyes of Kurenai. She then realized that she had reached her destination. She was to meet her friends for lunch. I know when a woman smiles like that there is a hunky in her life, Enko commented with a wide grin. Yugao sat down and looked at her two friends. They just stared at her until Enko decided to speak, so who is he? What? Duh. The guy who has you smiling like that, she said and turned to Kurenai. When was the last time you saw her smiling like that? I don't really remember, but it has been some time, Kurenai responded with a thoughtful expression. Before anyone could say anything, the waiter came and took their orders. Enko made sure to order a bottle of sake and dango. Kurenai and Yugao got themselves normal food. Yugao looked at her friends for a moment. She never told them about her relationship with Naruto. In fact, she never got into detail about her interactions with him. She refrained from speaking too much about it with them. She wanted to keep her experiences with Naruto to herself at that time when she was explaining to them why she had been missing from the village. Her friends often gave her glances. Enko made it worse by making sly comments just to get her to tell them what was making her happy. Well, she succeeded in that. I am going out tonight, she said suddenly. I knew it. Enko yelled in victory with her fist raised. Like on a date? The Genjutsu mistress asked with her eyes firmly on Yugao. I don't know, it might be. Yugao replied nervously under the gazes of her friends. Forget about that. Who is he? Enko asked, wanting to know who the guy was. No man had ever seemed to get Yugao's interest before, so she was wondering who it was. Naruto. You mean the Naruto? Yes. A single word shut them up for a moment before, ha 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 ha. Enko burst out laughing really hard. She stopped when she saw that Yugao was being serious. You are being serious, aren't you? She asked, getting her laughter under control. Yugao nodded. Is not he a bit younger than you? Kurenai asked. Screw age, Enko said. He is hot, that is all that matters. Even I would not mind riding him. Yugao and Kurenai simply stared at her. What? She said. Did you not see his picture in the latest bingo book from the sound? I also saw him about an hour ago with a young red-haired woman. That had to be the girl I found at his apartment, Yugao thought. Are you sure about this, Yugao? Kurenai asked. Her past encounter with Naruto was not so pleasant. If Yugao was intent on going out with him and they end up dating, things would really be uncomfortable. She just hoped that Naruto had forgotten about their last encounter. Yugao was her friend, they were definitely going to get to know him. That's not important, Enko exclaimed. How did it happen? I thought that the guy was gay. Naruto is not gay, Yugao defended her, interest. I thought that way at first. But after spending some time with him, I realized that was not it. If you ask him why he never shows interest in women, he will probably say, I have far more better things to do. The rest of the lunch went well. Enko was far more interested in learning more about Naruto. He might not be an ideal person to date, but Yugao wanted to give it a try. She did not care about their age difference. Age meant nothing in the shinobi world. It was just numbers, nothing more and nothing less. Still, she was curious about the red-haired girl in Naruto's apartment. What was her relationship with him? She was dying to know the answer. She made it a point to ask him politely when she does see him tonight.